Hello, welcome to CryptoCoach365, day 93. Mike Tozoni here. Unfortunately, yesterday I spent an entire day traveling home and there was delays and other issues. So by the time I got home, it was about 2 in the morning. I was completely tired and I just got home and passed out. So I'm sorry about that. You may have noticed by now, and I guess it's not really much of a secret, this 365, I try to do it every day. Sometimes things just don't work out, and I'm sorry about that. I'm actually wondering if maybe sometime I should make it not exclusively video, but do audio as well, because there are some situations where I just can't do a video. For example, if I end up spending most of the day at the airport. So anyway, apologies about that. But kind of a recap. Went to Nando's that JT keeps kind of talking about that he likes. I finally got to experience that in London, and then surprisingly there's one actually opened up in Chicago as well. I'm actually wondering if that's the reason that he picked a hotel where he did. Good place. If there's a Nando's nearby, definitely go check it out. More after that, it was mainly catching up on work stuff that I could do remotely from my laptop on the airport. There was quite a lot of work to done there, mostly catching up on paperwork, on real estate stuff, on some of the I have the book with me, but it's a lot of it is more accounting, calculating financial functions and stuff. One of the for me, it actually kind of came easy. So for others, it might not. But financial functions are a very, very useful things to know if you are in business, even if it's just the basics. Like for example, if you're given a monthly payment, how to figure out, or rather, if you're giving an interest-only payment monthly, how to figure out what the actual interest rate is on the total loan amount, or if you have all the components of a mortgage or any kind of loan. So the main components are the term, which is how long it is, like 5-year, 10-year, 30-year, the payment amount, and interest rate. So you really should figure out, learn how to figure out one of the three if you know the other two. So if you're given the term and interest rate, you should be able to figure out the payment. If you're given the payment and interest rate, you should be able to figure out the term, and if you, the total amount. And if you're giving out the total amount and the payment and interest rate, you should figure out the other part. Anyway, why they're important? Because in business, a lot of things kind of depend on it, actually in personal life too. Like everybody has credit card debt. If you're making payments and you know the interest, you need to figure out how long it'll take you to pay off that debt if you're paying that amount, the minimums or whatever you're paying. That helps you to figure out which credit cards to pay down first. If you are investing, the same function, the same formulas that work to figure out a loan, it's kind of the same set of them to figure out for investments. So for example, let's say you have a fund that'll give you a certain percentage and you're going to put in a certain amount every month. You should be able to figure out what the actual, how much you'll have within a certain number of years. And likewise, if you put in a single amount into an investment and just let it sit, you should be able to, if you know the interest rate, you should be able to figure out how much is going to grow after a few years. That one's important because if you can actually reverse the years. So really the formula for that is you have the amount you put in multiplied by 1 plus the interest rate. So let's say interest rate is 3, so it'd be, let's say you have 500. So it'd be $500 times 1.03. And then raised to the number of years. So let's say if you put in 500 for 5 years, it would be at a 3% interest. It would be 500 times 1.03 raised to 5. What I'm saying with reversed is if instead of 5 years you put a -5, that'll actually tell you what it would be backwards. Now you might think, why would I want to know that? And the reason is inflation. So here's a real world example. My friend, business partner Eric, had a pension plan that promised him to be able to pay him a certain amount by the time that he retires, which will be like, I think, 24 years from now. So you might look at that amount. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think it was like $3,000, and you might think, wow, that's I mean, it's decent. You can live off of it. It may have been like 2,400, which is a little less decent, but still okay. But this is where people get screwed, in that inflation kicks in. Look at your pension, see what it's paying, might look good. Now take that number and multiply it by 1.03, with 3% being the rate of inflation, raised to negative, and then how many years you have until your retirement. If you do that, you're going to reverse the instead of it going up, it'll go down by the amount of inflation to that present period in time, or like to the future period of time. So what you're doing is you're calculating it as if it's in a present period of time going back to in the past or so. What you'll find out is that when you multiply and use that inflation formula on whatever your pension is supposed to give you, you'll find out that that amount that you're getting might seem a lot, but in today's dollars, or rather the money and what it's actually going to be worth when you get there, it's not going to be worth that much. So Eric had this pension. He figured he'd be able to depend on it in retirement. When we took, I think, of the $2,400 and did this inflation calculation, we multiplied by 1.03 raised to negative how many years he had left. He found out that it was actually going to be less than $1,000. It was like barely enough to survive. It wouldn't even cover rent. Social Security is kind of in the same way too. You might get a annual stub saying once you retire, you'll have so and so in Social Security. Take the Social Security amount and also run the financial formula through it, see what you're actually going to be getting. You might actually be surprised. And that's even assuming Social Security is even there or going to be there. So yeah, just in personal life, we all have loans, we all have debts, we all have mortgages. Sometimes you might have a mortgage in a house right now, and you might want to see whether it'll be worth it to refinance the debt. Every time you refinance, they're going to charge you a fee. If you understand financial calculations, how to calculate a mortgage, Excel is great for that, by the way. You'll be able to figure out how much you'll actually save if the interest rate is reduced. So calculate the sum of all the payments on your mortgage at your current rate. Calculate the sum of all the payments at a new rate, and then see if that sum is going to be bigger or smaller than the fee to refinance. So obviously, if it'll cost you more to refinance then you'll end up then you'll end up paying or saving in your payments, and obviously that fee is not worth it. But if you don't know it, then you won't be able to make the decision. And really, most of the time in life, and in business, especially in business, you really need the skill for business. You have to know your numbers. So GT always also says know your numbers, but it's imperative you know your numbers and you know how to figure out the numbers. And I know I'm a kind of a left brain math geeky nerd, and engineering, other kind of stuff. I have a right brain stuff too, but I know I like math, and a lot of people don't like math. But this is one of those important maths that you need to know, because if you understand the numbers, just quite plainly, you'll be able to make better decisions. If you can figure out and calculate how much a business decision is going to cost you or earn you, you'll actually know how to make the decision, as opposed to having it be a crapshoot and hoping for the best. Same for refinancing your house, same for paying down your debt, same for picking investments. And speaking of investments, so last couple of days there was finally a bit of a bloodbath in the streets with regards to cryptocurrencies. And yeah, I'm smiling because this not only do terrible market crashes signal a perfect time to start investing again, but a lot of times a terrible market crash also signals us coming close to a floor finally, which honestly, you're going to hear people tell you why they think it crashed. Yeah, maybe not. As I said, there are a lot of times you may end up somebody starting a drop in crypto due to some event, and then the rest of it is just precipitated by bots and speculators. But whatever the cause, funny thing is, a lot of the news has actually been positive for the last many cat for the last many weeks, months even. It's just been positive news after positive news after positive. Yeah, the SEC was a little bit, it wasn't completely negative, it was delayed. But I mean, Bitcoin isn't about big fund managers investing in ETFs and stuff. Yeah, I really want an ETF because I want my own money to grow, obviously. I mean, you know, everybody wants to have a lot of money. But that's not really what Bitcoin is for. And the biggest the biggest boost, and sadly, because all the people got hurt, but the biggest boost really would have been what happened in Turkey recently. Their currency crashed like 14%, which is pretty terrible, and I don't know if there's going to be an end to that. As a result, there has been a massive surge of people going onto bitcoin.org website and going to a lot of Bitcoin exchanges too, because people are realizing that their currency is not safe and they're looking for safe havens. Gold used to be a safe haven, but gold is difficult to get. You have to transact into it physically. There's a threat of being robbed. There's even a threat of the government seizing it, and there's also a threat of you buying what you thought was gold turns out not to be. And Bitcoin is much more accessible to anybody with a cell phone and a data connection or a computer and an internet connection. So obviously Bitcoin has been the first go-to place for everybody, starting with Cyprus back in like 2013 or 14, through Greece, Venezuela, Argentina. Argentina was a big one before Venezuela. And now we have Turkey. So one by one, unfortunately, all the people who are like, why do I need Bitcoin? My money works. One by one, they'll realize that their money is not working quite well. And I mean, maybe here it does. Elsewhere, people aren't so lucky. So with that, I'm happy there's blood in the streets because this is a good time to buy. And I am happy because hopefully this will finally be kind of it's been a very long slog since last December, but hopefully we're coming to an end of it, and then we can finally start to build back up again. So anyway, lots to do today. Kind of a different story. Let me see how much time, 12 minutes. I'm going through I'm going through a name change. Surprise, secrets out. My real name's not Michael Tozoni legally yet. It will be, and the reason is that my original name is rather difficult to pronounce and difficult to spell. So, everybody has biases, subconscious or not, and it would just be easier for me to do my business under a more common name. But had a really huge contrast between public and private, I guess. So I had to spend a couple hours at the Social Security office, and actually the reason I was there today was because last time I went there, they messed up on my name, and they actually sent me a new Social Security card with an incorrect name and an incorrect address. So I could have been totally different from anything that I was planning on. So hey, I can have a totally weird made up legal name. I don't even know, honestly. I brought him a letter signed and stamped by the judge saying that they approved my name change from old to new. Honestly, that letter would have been super simple to forge, because the stamp on it was just a big gold star sticker, which would very easy to just buy some gold sticker foil and cut it out. And the actual stamp and everything else, just scan it, Photoshop it, paste it, and put it back in, and you can change your name to whatever you want. Not that I'm advising, it's just a security, and that seems like, I guess, obscurity is for obscurity because nobody knows about it, but the secret's out. But the difference was that first time I came there, it took me a very long time. They were very slow. And then they messed it up, gave me the wrong name, so I came there again. There was a very long time, and it was still slow. The lady at the counter was a much nicer this time, so at least, not nicer in that case, but she was more professional and working a lot better. So, and we verified everything completely this time. Apparently, the last person, they messed up on a new name. They also messed up on the old name, so I don't even know what the new name would have been linked to, and she messed everything up. So Kind of bad work, took a very long time. I think I was there waiting for about an hour and a half before they finally got to see me, even though they have about 9 windows open. And the room wasn't that big, there were like maybe 20 people there, if that. And most of those were families waiting as like in groups of 3. And you know, it was kind of a pain. Right after that, I went to Bank of America, which needed me. I needed to do something quite a bit more complex, which is transfer account ownership, link an account to a different account, look up my all the statements for an account that I already closed, which was registered in a corporate name, not my name. My name is as one of the users for the account, but the account was actually under on a corporate name. And withdraw a CD, I believe, that I had there. So there's quite a lot of work. So I came in, politely they welcomed me, they said hi, they didn't take very long with the other customer, they called me in, very professional, very quick, helped out like with everything, did everything perfectly right, verified that everything was right, and were very friendly, helpful, and just in and out the door within like 30 minutes or something. That was quite a big job. And again, this is an example of somebody working because they need you as a client and they need your money because that's how they make their living, versus somebody working who gets paid by money that's just taxed and then it's somebody else's money taken without their will. So yeah, I'm not a fan of public. You know, big businesses, they know that their clients or their money comes from their customers. With any big corporation, the customers are always in charge because they are the ones whom the companies make money from. And if you have your own business, that's how you make your own money. You take care of clients, and they'll take care of your wallet. Don't focus on collecting and taking as much money as you can. Focus on treating your clients as best as you can, because if you make it a memorable and good experience for your clients and make them want to come back, they'll come back, you'll get the money, your competition will not. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm gonna head out and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.